सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Okay. As usual, before joining, always make sure that your audio is mute and join. That option is there. So that means because things are not being planned, so that's why things goes wrong. Yesterday, including me, because I was in a late. So when I tried to connect fast, I didn't have time to look at anything. So also, you people, whenever you are joining, better to mute, then join. Then later on we can unmute it. What happens is because remotely I am handling. So when I handle remotely, when there is some disturbance, definitely mind doesn't accept, because I understand mind is not getting tuned with you people. That's why we say whether you listen or not, at least you pretend to listen to me, okay? Thank you, all of you. So, coming back, let us read the verse number 81, so that becomes easier for you to see the same thing. Prithvi shirna jale magna jalam magnan cha tejasi lenam vayu tatha tejah vyamni vatolayam yayu avidyayam mahakashah liyate parame pade. Just to give this explanation very beautifully, it says, like as we have discussed, that how this expansion of this creation happens from one element to another element. Akasat vayu, vayor agni, agnerapah, advya prithvi. So this is the order generally we adopt, as we have discussed in details. So when this is the order that we adopt, always we think the creation only one way. It keeps creating, creating and creating. But here beautifully says, as it is being created or getting created, also it has power to observe. So the observation, please understand, the observation has to take place. That's why I gave the example of the concept of God, especially in Indian context. There are many magicians consider them as God, or people consider them as God. There are many, let me not get into. In India, everybody becomes God because you can create something. So here we say, yes, if you can create, again you can take it back. If things goes back, even if you produce a chain, for example, there are some Swamiji, they used to produce chains, whatnot. Good, very good. As you produce a chain, so also please take it back. So if you ask to take it back, it will be very tough, difficult for them to take it back. So this concept, the concept of God when we are talking, so we need to understand this point very carefully, that from gross to subtle it gets merged, As the expression happens from shuttle to grass, so it goes other way around. Prithvi gets merged in Jalam, the earth gets merged in water, then Jalam Tejasi, the water into fire. Of course, the fire get into air, again air goes to space, and space is the combination of this here which called as avidya, ignorance goes to ignorance, and finally it merges, becomes one with the consciousness, the totality. And while discussing, this is the most important thing there I was talking, in short I will be explaining, please, so that it becomes easier for you people. Verse number 82, 83, which is very much applicable for all of us. Vikshepa varana shaktihi duranta dukkha rupini jada rupa mahamaya raja sattva tamo guna sa maya varana shakti avruta vijnana rupini darshayet jagadakaram tam vikshepa swabhavatah. Says beautifully. First of all, this Mahamaya, this Maya, as we have been discussing, don't ask me what is Maya, okay? So Maya, by itself, by nature, it is jada, it's inert. Means it doesn't have any intelligence to decide anything. In fact, it cannot exist by itself. And we call as a Mahamaya. It's a great. Because whoever the person me is under the spell of it. We'll see when this karma theory comes, we'll be discussing that. Very nicely, it will come. So he says beautifully, this Mahamaya, being Jada Rupa, being inert in nature, it has three qualities. So when it has got three qualities, one is called Rajas, Sattva and Tama, these three. So, or you can Sattva, Raja, Tama, order. So when it has got three qualities, but it gets expressed. So it has its own forces of action or acting. So it has got two. So what are they? We have discussed. One is called Avarana Shakti, other one is called Vikshepa Shakti. So Avarana means covering. So the first job of Maya is to cover. So once there is a covering, this is called job of the ignorance. So the moment covering happens, now the world will appear, please understand, the consciousness, not world, the consciousness will appear as world because that covering is there already. It is like as I told you. If you are near the ocean, what do you see? You never see it is water. You see the vastness of ocean, not vastness of water. You see waves. And once you start to see, please understand, the ocean, automatically you start seeing waves, you start seeing the sea, and you start seeing the fishes, many things you see. And based on that, you keep projecting. Projection happens. That is what is being said here. Once Avarana comes, once there is covering, then Vikshepa, projection, becomes natural, becomes spontaneous. This is how it works. Once there is a covering, so covering of knowledge here, or you can say when you are not able to see, or if you want to talk in psychological language, when you are not able to appreciate as the person is, as the situation is, then what happens? Now there is a projection. You keep projecting. So, because of the projection, please understand, not only you will see the world, but you will start seeing the diversified world based on your projection. Suppose you have gone to the sea, same example, with children, with your children. Now what happens? How you will look at? Definitely your way of looking at a sea will be entirely different. When you have gone alone, definitely your way of seeing the same sea will be different. Each time you go, you try to see through your projection because already there is a covering. Whereas every time if you go, you don't see the sea at all. But whereas you see only water. Now, will there be any projection? Beautifully, as it is being discussed, many cases, especially in Mahabharata case comes. So when the Arjuna, the young boy, so once he was practicing this arrow, the archery, that time his guru asked, what do you see? Because some fruits were being hanging, you were supposed to. He says, look, I see only the thread or only that stem where the fruit is hanging. I don't see anything else. Because this is called approach. Like some places, like, when he tried to, for example, got the hand of Draupadi in Swayamvara, so he could see only the eyes of the fish. One eye of the fish, not even eyes. He didn't see anything. So that means what? You can see the approach. You can see for yourself. The best example now already started, called this traffic. So during Corona time it was not there, now slowly getting opened. Now what happens? Now based on your projection, suppose you are already late. You have started for your office or for your work just 5 minutes late. It's a very funny thing with reference to traffic. If you manage to start 5 minutes before, you will save sometimes more than 1 hour. If you delay just 5 minutes, if you are cut in the traffic, you are finished. Now, just see, when you are 5 minutes late, how do you look at the traffic? How do you look at your own city? Does it become different or not? So that means there the projection becomes stronger. Please understand. There the projection becomes stronger where the avarana, the covering is thicker. It's a very simple way of looking at life. So to take care of this aspect, that is what we all are. We don't see the world as it is. Even if we see the tree as a tree, no problem. But we see this tree is not giving me shade, giving shade to my neighbor. Or this tree is not good for me. You understand what I am trying to say? So we see the objects, we see people through our projection. So that projection may be whether it's related to my insecurity or related to my comfort. That's all. But in reality, only I see based on my projection. So to manage this aspect, this avarana and vikshepa, so we bring another word in Vedanta called mala. So there is a word called mala, there is another word called avarana and vikshepa. So let us look at life, how it moves. I have given all the details in last class. I am just trying to repeat very carefully so that it becomes easier for all of you, and which actually helps me to get committed to the teaching. That's why sometimes I say whether you listen to it or not, I listen to myself. This is what called nitidhyasana. So here, there is a mala, there is impurity. As we discussed, impurity is like externally like a dust. On mirror, there is dust. So when there is a thick layer of dust, now your reflection will not be visible. And definitely the malam, the dust will not be even everywhere. It will be differently. Or sometimes you put your hand somewhere. So based on impurities, your reflection on mirror will happen. So if you want to see the proper reflection, now you need to clean the mirror. And as you know, dust keeps gathering every moment. Dust to gather, there is no day, there is no night. Of course, when there is windy, now here is heavy windy, that's an example I am giving, or when there are different situations of you, or you are nearby, let us say, traffic area where a lot of vehicles are passing through, definitely you will gather more dust. But every moment, somewhere or other, dust keeps gathering. This is the truth. So if you want to keep everything clean, you have to keep on dusting. There is no choice. Not 24 hours, but relatively every day if you do, which takes very less time, and of course mind becomes different. House becomes different. As it happens, with reference to mind, there is also impurity. So impurity is nothing but attachment with your experience. Please understand, most important point is the key to handle one's own mind. Unless this is being understood properly, this Vedanta is just a time pass. I am sorry to say. So, malam is nothing. The impurities in my mind is nothing but the sense of attachment towards experience. Let that experience be anything, makes no difference. As we discussed, including so-called spiritual experience too. Because there is nothing called mundane, there is nothing called spirituality. It is just this division was being created by these religious people to destroy people. You all know, let us not get into that. But here, when you have sense, you have wish, you have desire, or there is some type of pull and push towards your experience, there is some type of attachment, there is some type of longing, you want to relate, you want to go back, then what happens? That is called malam. I will give you how we handle. This is what called, lifestyle. This is what in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Yama and Niyama. Because this is the most important aspect, how I can say you, how you go back to experience. I'll give you a beautiful example. I have seen many people, that's why I'm giving this example. Let us say you have taken some good food, tasty food according to your taste. Now what happens? And because of your habit, some people in a public place, because they don't wash mouth properly, and some people do not take a tissue paper clean, you understand. Now you have not taken, or you have not cleaned properly, you have not dissociated yourself from the food that you have taken. That's why I always highlight. After taking food, you are supposed to wash your mouth, wash your face, of course both hands, if possible both the legs. Has to be washed, there is no choice. To dissociate yourself, or else what will happen, you will go back. How? Let us see here. So you have taken some food which is very tasty for you, your own favorite food, let us say. Now, even if you have cleaned, some food particle is stuck in your mouth. So what you do? Hidingly, while talking to others, I have observed people, that's what I am trying to say. While talking to people, what you do? You put your tongue not to help to clean the tooth, but to relate with that food taste. Does it happen or not? So what does it mean? Even though you are talking to others, food is over, still you are with the food or not. So that is called physical impurity. If you talk like, very gross way, you are a very ordinary person. This is not etiquette. So you will be considered as a very ordinary person who might be deprived of food or whatever. And of course, I have seen some people putting the hand, I'm sorry to say, put the hand, the mouth and all these things. I don't want to get into. Please be very careful and observe. How this happens? This happens because you want to be associated. You want that food taste to linger some more time. Even though body is saturated, body doesn't want that food, but still mind says that. So when it happens with reference to food, which is gross in nature, same thing it happens with reference to the experience, which is in subtle. How? Let us look at. Each time when you say something, when you express anything in your life, just try to see all your expression. Is it connected to present or backed up by your experience? Please try to understand this point. This is the key of Vedanta. Take this homework. Whenever you say something, all your thinking process, all your expression, is it related to the present situation or is it backed up by the experience to go back to that experience or to strengthen that sort of experiences? Can you see the difference? You will be surprised to note most of the time when we open our mouth, when we say something, when we do something, always not only it takes the backup of our old experiences, also it wants to strengthen that sort of experiences. So whole life we are strengthening our experiences. So when we keep strengthening our experiences, we are not free. We are in fact caught up with this world. That's what happens whole life. We are supposed to make ourselves free from experiences, not to strengthen. And unfortunately, these religious people will come, spiritual people will come. No, this experience you should not, you remove that, you divert yourself, get into another type of experience. That is worse, because at least very nicely, one incident I went through. One person said, because I want to make it little lighter when matter is so serious. So, in fact, that person is Andhra, and there is a community in Andhra. If you have a male child, you can celebrate, because you will get a lot of things from girl side marriage time. So this man had one boy. In the family, everybody was expecting to have a girl child so that they can gain some punya. But fortunately, again he was being blessed with another male child. So he said, look, everybody was unhappy, including the child's mother, his wife, and his mother. Everybody was unhappy. And this fellow was enjoying. So everybody started shouting at him, hey, you stupid, please keep quiet. Everybody is unhappy. Because you wanted more wealth, so that's why you are very happy, or what? What is going on with you? He said, not like that. He said, I am becoming happy because of some other reason. Now why? When these children grow up, now if one son and another daughter, definitely there will be some dispute between me and them. So if I say something to the son when he is already grown up, definitely he will give one slap, one punch. So when he gives one punch, what daughter will do? Papa, please. She will try to take care of me emotionally. Whereas if both are the sons, when this fellow gives one punch, other fellow will give another punch, so that I will have vairagyam quickly. You understand? Anyhow, what he did, what he didn't do, don't ask me, okay? That's another story. What I am highlighting here is when your craving or your association or you are attached to the worldly experience, like that story, you may get knocked from the world, from the worldly experience. Don't worry, you will get knocked. Whereas when you are attached to this spiritual or religious experiences, never ending process. Like one side boy, other side girl. One punch comes, don't worry, girl will come to take care of you emotionally. So somehow you cannot get rid of it. In fact, many people I see in the spiritual, those who are in the tour of spiritual experiences, they are much more, they do suffer much more than common people, which cannot be explained at all. However, let me not get into that area at all. Here he says, my job is to take care of this malam first. So how to dissociate myself from the experiences? He says, this is what our approach. Keep engaged in the activities. Discipline yourself. Keep the discipline in the first priority. No compromise with discipline. Because what happens? You will discover the more your mind is a tamas, or the mind when goes towards tamasic aspect, not only you keep projecting, you also get buried inside your projection. We'll be seeing projecting and getting buried, there is a big difference. If you are projecting and producing, what we call as a productive thinking is entirely different. Whereas if it is destructive thinking also is another type of projection. Because when you are already inside the projection and you are not able to come out of that projection and you expect everything, everybody must support, must go along with my projection. So that means the more mind moves towards tamasic aspect, the more mind becomes, let us say, tamasic, the more you keep projecting. So here, that's why first point is take care of your malam carefully. Discipline yourself. Keep engaged in different activities. There is no choice. That are to be done, need to be done without any excuse, without any postponement. Including some of you, I see that you join whenever you people want because it's online class. However, see, in the process what happens? You take yourself for granted. So if you are taking yourself this teaching for granted, you think you can think properly in your life? I'm sorry to say. That's why in teaching tradition, which unfortunately went to the preaching tradition wrongly, in teaching tradition, why a student has to carry one's own self in front of a teacher in a different way. Always has to be on the toes. Because if the student does not stand on the toes all the time in front of the teacher, this teaching will never enter at all. Never enters. But unfortunately, many Swamijis, they create the situation so that everybody should. So that because more people follow, you have got more gatherings. I have seen many cases. That's another thing. Because every rule has to be misunderstood or misinterpreted. That's another thing. Here he says, when there is malam, you need to do, let us say, karma with yoga buddhi. Keep engaging yourself. That's why we can say carefully. In fact, this is what we do technically, especially including for Swamiji's sannyasis. If we discover a sannyasi is a tamasic, there are some sannyasi also tamasic, don't worry, okay? Any moment it can happen. It's just a matter of time. So if a sannyasi, I am just giving you the best example, becomes more tamasic, we say because that person cannot do much karma because a lot of karmas have been gone, cannot do. So there we say at least do parayana. Not only you have to do upasana because you will say, I am doing meditation. There are many Swamis, I am doing meditation, please. Already you are tamas, don't do meditation, okay? That's not allowed. To be very honest, it's not healthy at all. Upasana directly is not allowed. For that person has to do some parayana, has to do some puja, has to do something which is technically allowed and where mind, body, everything is engaged. And there is a system. So that's why we say, do puja regularly. Especially with Sahasranama Archana. When you do 1,000 times, look, please understand, takes around 45 to 1 hour if you are expert. So that means this 45 minutes to 1 hour, you will discover your malam will keep fluctuating. So your mind will go back and come back, go back, come back. So then what happens is it becomes much more easier to handle yourself, at least for 45 minutes in the beginning. So that's why we say very carefully and clearly, to overcome or to manage your malam, spend time with reference to physically any work with yoga buddhi. Remember, with yoga buddhi means you are doing not to achieve anything, not to prove anything, not to establish yourself, not for anything, but for your emotional growth. That is your achievement. That is your target. I do all these things. That's why when you work for emotional growth, this is the understanding comes. If I don't do, what else to do? If I don't do, what else to do? So that means the pressure for work will not come. You can see for yourself, if you are listening to this talk, just to listen to, or for some other thing, oh, Swamiji may feel bad, or this and that. Please don't misunderstand, everywhere it happens, okay? I am just guessing. Then what happens? Or, oh, this text others are listening. If I don't listen, what other will think? Maybe other will go ahead of me. I will be left behind. Swamiji may not like, or Swamiji will not be connected to me. If all these emotions are there, if you listen to me, please understand, when it becomes 5 o'clock, Indian time, of course, in your country, your time, and during that time, if any other appointment comes, what will happen to you? There will be fight. You will not be able to handle that gracefully. The reason is why? Because you are not listening for understanding, or at least you are not listening to see your emotional growth, but you are listening to for all other purpose. Just observe these points. So that's why even if listening to the scriptures in a gross way also takes care of your malam, you don't have to worry. But better to, okay, of course you have to, when you have to listen to with a certain way. That's why I make sure, like, all your movement, sitting, posture, and not allowing yourself, don't do it. Hopefully none of you are doing it. Everything is mute. I am talking and you can switch on the television also, or some other computer, something can continue, and you talk, hey, bring water, do this, do that, also possible, okay? Please, if you do, you know what you are doing it. I don't want to talk this point. Here, malam takes care of it first. Once malam is being taken care, you will discover. Second thing is called, we say, vikshepa, projection. When there is a lot of projection in you, you really keep projecting unnecessarily. We say very carefully, do japam, upasana. It can start with any puja. take up a mantra and take care of that deity. Very carefully we handle this point. Take up a mantra with that deity. So when you take up mantra with a deity, for example, I am just trying to tell you openly, if somebody has got a emotional turmoil, it's a very effective one. Like here near Ganges I am, nothing like worshipping Ganga. You can spend 1 hour, 2 hours near to Ganga if the situation is, the weather is good, or else in your place. Dealing or relating with Ganga, with all archana and everything, takes care of every emotional aspect. Once the mind is calm and quiet, you can do the japa. Or any other deity, makes no difference. Please understand, just I gave you example because mother is here flowing, so that's why. What I am trying to say is that malam to be taken care of, you need to relate some deity which will bring the healthy attitude while working. Because the problem in your life is, that's why Vedanta doesn't work in many people's life. Because they do not know how to trust. With reference to situation and oneself, you need a shock observer. What is your shock observer? Some people will say guru, some people will say teaching, but we say first learn to create God as your shock observer. Because if you look at guru as your shock observer, then unnecessarily your guru will get glorified. A lot of complication will come tomorrow. If you say Shastra as a shock observer in the beginning, then means what happens? You become completely intellectual. Whereas when you bring God as a shock observer between your experience and you, between the world and you, then what happens? There is a healthy relationship. It really, not only the God helps physically, also astrally makes the situation better and better for you. That's why in order to take care of this vikshepa, you need to do upasana. Spend more time on puja and japa. Even though puja takes care of malam a lot, but don't worry. Then only comes avarana, covering. So covering will be removed. Like a curtain, just remove the curtain. How long does it take? So also the covering only is being taken care by one sentence. That too 3 words. Whether it is Tattvamasi or Aham Brahmasmi. In fact, the teacher said Tattvamasi, you are that. The student understands, I am Brahman. That's all. With 3 words, one smallest sentence, the covering is being taken care. What, if you want to express or you want to give some better explanation, what you are looking for in your life, that is you. You are what you want. You don't have to become anything. In fact, already you are that. This is called teaching. This is called only to take care of your covering, to remove your covering. But the problem is here, mind is not ready. Lot of malam. You understand the concept? We have to reverse back. Because the malam is so strong and keeps coming, because deep within our vasana is always dragging us. Our mind always goes back to the impression, not only in this life, whatever I have experienced in with my knowledge, also without my knowledge. Mind goes to many things. So that means those vasanas, those impressions is carried forward from the previous lives. So when my vasanas are stronger, how can I understand? That's why we say very carefully, take care of this upasana part, and along with upasana, when you are exposed to Vedanta, you will discover there will be growth in you. Okay, let us look at the next verse. He brings beautifully a little bit this aspect. The deity aspect comes here. 84 verse. Tamo gunadhika vidya ya sa durga bhavet swayam ishwarattadupahitam chaitanyam tadbhut dhruvam. Tamo gunadhika vidya ya sa durga bhavet swayam ishwarastadupahitam chaitanyam tadbhut dhruvam. Sattvadhika chaya vidya lakshmi syad divya rupini chaitanyam tadupahitam vishnur bhavati nanyatha. Sattvadhika chaya vidya lakshmi syad divya rupini chaitanyam tadupahitam vishnur bhavati nanyatha. So brings the God concept, beautiful concept, it says. Now when this Maya, as we are discussing very comfortably, or you can say this avidya concept. So in this avidya and Maya, now what happens when there is excess of tamas? Because three qualities we have discussed. So when it has got excess of tamas, so it manifests in the form of Durga. And of course its presiding deity is Ishvara. That's why Durga is always for destruction, including destroying your ego, destroying anything. That's why Durga's Shakti is very vibrant. That's why the technically goes, when situation becomes worse, we worship Durga. That's why when you feel completely unprotected, you are already devastated. That's why we say Durga Kavacham to be studied. In fact, those who worship Durga, many things are being taken care of. That's why time to time, every incarnation, when they go through tough time, they do worship Durga. Whether it's Rama or Krishna, everybody had to worship Durga for some reason or other. So let us not get into too much. This is another aspect. That's not our topic now here. So it says, when the tamas is predominant with avidya or with Maya, that time what happens? It is with Durga and the presiding deity is Ishvara. And of course, when this avidya has an excess of sattva, it manifests itself in the form of Lakshmi. And of course, the presiding deity is Vishnu. Let us look at the next verse so that we will combine. Rajo gunadhika vidya geya savai saraswati yaschit swarupo bhavati brahma tadupadharaka. Rajo gunadhika vidya geya savai saraswati yaschit swarupo bhavati brahma tadupadharaka. Says Rajo Gunatmika Vidya, again same avidya, or this particularly as we are discussing, this Maya has an excess of tamas. Then what happens? Sorry, I made a mistake. When is the excess of rajas? Because I got lost. Actually, Rajo Gunadhika Vidya, we can, instead of when avidya or Maya, we can say the Vidya, the consciousness along with Maya. So we have to translate very carefully. When the consciousness along with Maya has an excess rajas, that will be the right translation. So as I was talking, I have made a mistake. That's why I am trying to understand why I have made this mistake. However, so when the consciousness along with Maya has an excess of rajas, so it manifests in the form of Saraswati, goddess of Saraswati. And of course, the presiding deity is Brahma. So what he says, these three aspects we'll talk, then we'll go to next verse. He says when the tamas is predominant, the consciousness along with Maya, when there is tamas predominant, it is called Durga and the presiding deity is Shiva. And Rajas predominant, Brahma, Saraswati and Brahma. When Sattva is predominant, Lakshmi and Vishnu. How and why? Just you see it. When you want to bring changes, destruction, you need a very aggressive approach. There is no choice. And that is how Shiva and Durga. Whereas if you observe, you want to produce, you want to create. So when you want to create, you want to really create something, you need to have Rajas, Saraswati and Brahma. Because unless there is a Rajasic aspect in you, you cannot create anything. And of course Vishnu is the in charge of maintenance. You have to take care of everything without destroying anything. Always you are in the protecting mode. Like, how you can see all these managers, what they do. They have to balance themselves, balance everything. So that means what? You have to be always on the alert, on your toes. At the same time, you have to relax. That's why the concept of in Hinduism, if you observe, beautiful way. All are really very nice. That is how all the wrong things have gone in different religions. Shiva being the destructing capacity has got really, who can brought pralaya, who has got power to bring destruction, what we call later on, who is the cause of the change, who brings the change. Always in tapas, always in austerity, always in meditation. And that too, very different climate altogether, in a Kailasa full of snow. Because you need to have that much power, you need to have that sort of strength to bring the change. And the creator called Brahma, elderly person, means shows maturity. That's why all the gods in Hinduism concept are very young. No wrinkles, nothing. Except one person, one or two are there, Vishwakarma is there, so few are there, demigods are there. Mainly here Brahma is elderly person. The beard is so long, white and whatnot. Means it shows that the person is mature. And where he stays? So he stays in Brahmaloka. So Brahmaloka means one of the field of experience which is not connected to anything. All lokas are different, please understand. Indra loka is different. So one of the world is called Indra, means the king of all the gods. They stay separately, but Brahma stays separately. Why? Please understand. In order to create something, you have to be away. You have to really be away from that created world. If you do not become away, then what will happen is you will not do the creation, you will do the destruction. So with your whims and fancies, you will create. This is the psychological aspect. That's why Brahma is outside presented. But people started, religious people, oh, God having created this universe went and stayed in the heaven. You understand? That is not the purpose, but unfortunately it has been misunderstood completely. And interestingly, Vishnu, what? This is the point. Vishnu being the maintenance in charge, sustainer of this universe, always relaxed, lying down on the ocean of milk, lying down, relaxing all the time. So you can see these are the aspects. This is called sattvic aspect. Brahma, if anything goes wrong, Brahma gets agitated. What to do? Oh, my creation may get destroyed, because this is called Rajasic mind. And of course Shiva doesn't bother anything. Whoever worships gives. Doesn't bother. In fact, till it falls on him. When it falls on him, he does whatever to be done. that moment. Whereas Vishnu, being sattvic, this is the concept here. What happens? Always relaxed, always on his toes, always alert. So he says, beautiful, that is not the concept. The concept is here, tries to say next verses. Let us look at that. Ishadya sakala deva drishyante paramatmani shariradi jadam sarvam savidya tattatha tatha evam rupena kalpante kalpaka visvasambhavam tattva tattvam bhavantiha kalpanannena chodita ishadya sakala deva drishyante paramatmani shariradi jadam sarvam savidya tattatha tatha evam rupena kalpante kalpaka visvasambhavam tattva tattvam bhavantiha kalpanannena chodita. Says, apart from this, all the sattva raja tama, this is just on the way. This is the classification. That is not our purpose. The purpose is beautifully. The gods, like whether Shiva, Vishnu or Brahma, makes no difference. And also many different type of gods, because each one is being given a duty, one aspect of the totality, as we have seen long back. So God is nothing. In Hinduism, each God is nothing, represents one aspect of the totality. So all, this is the point, is all this God in the consciousness. And if you look at also all the projected world, which is really inert in nature, including this body, this physical body, also part of the totality, that knowledge, the consciousness. So that means nothing is away, nothing is different from the consciousness. That's why says beautifully, these wise people, those who are learned people, what they say openly, yes, there is something called tattva, there is something called atattva. So tattva means truth, atattva means just opposite of truth, false. So truth means what? The one thing is called consciousness is truth. All other than that is a falsehood. It says all are produced, this is the way of producing, there is no other way. Means this is how the creation comes. If this is the case, now let us look at, because I am trying my best, if I can, no, it will be difficult to take 3-4 verses. Already time up. Okay, no problem. Let us look at Prameyatvadi Rupena Sarvam Vastu Prakashate Vishesha Sabdopapadena Vedo Bhavati Nanyatha Prameyatvadi Rupena Sarvam Vastu Prakashate Vishesha Sabdopadena Vedo Bhavati Nanyatha. Says beautifully, whatever the objects we see, all the objects is visible to us. How it is visible? He uses the word Prameyatvadi Rupena. So it means Prameya, Pramata and Pramana. Technically what do sometimes say? Gaya, Gyata, Jnanam iti. Both are one and same, don't worry. So Prameya means the object that is to be known. Pramata means the knower. And Pramana means of knowing or means of knowledge. So definitely all this world appears to be different or is known through this three terminology. Some are called Prameya, object to be known. Some are called Pramata, knower. And some are called as Pramana, means of knowledge. Sometimes process of knowing also, because internal seeing. So he says all are different name and form, different standpoint. But in reality, there is no difference. If you look at like this, when you look at me, I am prameya for you. Object to be seen, object to be known. Now when I look at you, you are prameya for me. Can you see? It is just a standpoint. So that is what is being highlighted here. Whatever you see is nothing but just name and form. But in reality, you and me, there is no difference. In fact, there is only one thing exists. Let us look at next verse. Tatheva vastu nasteva bhashako vartakah para swarupatvena rupena swarupam vastu bhashyate. Tatheva vastu nasteva bhasako vartakah para swarupatvena rupena swarupam vastu bhasyate. That's why it says tatha eva vastuhu. Therefore the consciousness only exists, nothing else. So whatever we see, all these are false in nature. In fact, swarupatvena rupena swarupam vastu bhasyate. You see whatever is nothing but the reflection of the reality, the consciousness. And of course all other things appears for the timing, and of course they do appear as real to us. That's why let us look at the next verse. Eka satta puritananda rupa. No. Eka satta puritananda rupa purna vyapi vartate nasti kinchite. Etat jnanam yah karotyeva nityam muktah sasyan mrityu sansara dukhat. Eka satta puritananda rupa purna vyapi vartate nasti kinchite. Etat jnanam yah karotyeva nityam muktah sasyan mrityu sansara dukhat. Says beautifully, whatever you see, in reality only one, nothing else. But the point is, he says, eka satta, but puritananda rupaha purnaha. But whatever object you see, you need to see this. Do you know this is the new way of looking at it? Filled with happiness in every form. That's why in Bhagavad Gita, Vibhuti Yoga is said, wherever you see Vibhuti means glorification. If you see a child is singing very well, that glorification is nothing but God. So each one of us has some glorification. Each one of us has something good in us. Somebody can walk nicely. Somebody can talk nicely. Somebody can do this nicely, that nicely. That means what? Please understand very carefully that everything that is good in me is God. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.